Episode of our podcast at Coyote Consulting Council. Today, the topic is why say yes when you actually know the answer is no. So, a lot of people find it very difficult to actually say no. And sometimes when we even say the no, we start explaining. And we are still continuing with the review of the book A Fool at 40, written by Dr. Kayode Femi, who is a veterinarian, right? And with me on the stage today, I have very brilliant minds. One veterinarian and and the other ones are not veterinarians, but they are very brilliant minds. I have Teresa, Emmanuel, and of course, the author of the book, Dr. Kayode Femi. We are going to be discussing Foley 2, which says, I said yes when I should have said no. Right? So while we actually get their perspective, how do I put it now? Their thoughts about this topic, we're also going to be getting the thoughts of Dr. Kayode Femi in the book, though we are still going to be hearing from him, aside from what he has written here, right? What he thinks about what he has even written. So let's start with, who should we start with now? Teresa. So why have you ever said yes when you actually know the answer to what you want to say is no, probably to a request?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so why? Why did you say yes when you obviously knew the answer was no?
The pressure was too much. So I just wanted to say yes. So that topic would just go away.
What kind of pressure? Or would you mind sharing what the scenario was like?
Okay, let me give this instance of when my mom was asking me.
It's not to get married. Aye.
Yes, in my house, that they have never seen with a man. Yes, I've never, can't catch me. So she was worried. She came at me and said, "How are you?" I say, "I'm fine." She said, "How far now? No man." And I say, "Why are you asking?" She said, "Because you're the unserious child I have. You're the one that is not doing like you want to marry." And so I said, "Okay, mommy, I will. I will think about it." But the truth is, I'm not thinking about it. But I just said yes, so that she can leave me alone. Yes, I'm not thinking about it because I have so many things I feel like I have to be on before I consider a life partner.
I don't want to enter this topic. If I enter this
It's
topic, we will
tempting.
not, we will not go to there. We will not
Anyway,
go
that's the
to
scenario. I said yes when I was actually
there.
supposed to
Actually
tell
supposed to
her,
say what it is.
no, I'm not ready yet. But I said yes because the pressure, the time she always wakes you up at the odd hours of 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to avail you her worries. So you have to just say yes so you can go back to that sleep. Or she won't let you be. She will keep disturbing you and make it a prayer point. And I don't want my mom worried about things like that.
Things like that.
Yeah. So I just said yes, I will consider it. In fact, I said yes, I was bringing a man this December. For now, I just that one we'll cross it when we get there.
Okay, okay. So, Mr. Emmanuel, right? Let's leave that hard scenario because if I wanted to ask a question with that scenario, but let's leave it.
Okay.
Why do you think people say yes when they actually should say no? So in her own scenario, it's pressure. Do you agree that it's just pressure that make people probably say yes when they should say no?
Okay. Pressure is one of the things, actually, but there are other factors that can make you say yes when you know you're supposed to say no. Okay, so let me come from my own perspective. I've said many years, too many years, when I know I'm supposed to say no internally. And truth speaks to you from the inside. You can deceive any person, but you can't deceive your own self. That's the truth. So one of the things I think was responsible for my own too many years, it's first my bring up. So the way I grew, because of tradition and respect, for instance, you can hardly look at an elder and say no. I
Interesting.
mean, the first time I took selfie with my dad was 2019. Yes, and when growing up, when they're speaking to you, your eyes has to be like
It has to be
this.
down.
You have to be. You can't be looking at your elder is
Yeah.
talking to you,
Yep.
and then you are looking back. That's disrespectful.
Yep.
I mean, and then you're buried in low self-esteem. You're buried in just flowing with the instructions, the norms, and then you just have to say yes. Now, not because, and one of the downside to that you yielding that way is that you would grow up not having your own mind.
Yeah.
And then so later in life, I found that thing began to affect me. And I'm trying not to dive into much of this aspect, but I've been I've been more into maybe the church cycle, and then I've seen it play out too many times. Too many times where you have to say yes when you know the answer is supposed to be no. And then you can link it down to the fact that the way I was brought up, we have to respect our elder. Saying no to an elder is actually disrespectful in my culture. So you just have to say yes. Just have to say yes. Come and do this. In fact, even go and eat that food. The guy and elder finishes the food. Like maybe my dad, maybe remains a little. Sorry, that's come and take this in Yoruba. And then you just have to go. Either you are full or not. You just have to say yes. Like you just have to say yes. let me peg it at this for now.
This food scenario, I think, is everybody's childhood story. Like, even when you don't want to eat, my dad will just say it and you have to go and collect that food. I think it's everybody's scenario. But I think the aspect that you brought in that I think is actually affecting a lot of us is the self-esteem part.
Yeah, our parents, I'm sorry, but they didn't do so well in that part. They made us not have self-confidence. Like,
Yeah.
they made you have complex. It's called complex because the ability for you to speak your mind when you're supposed to, it's a complex. And so they make you feel like it's wrong for you to want to say it. So you have to, in fact, my mom used to say, women are not here though, they are seen. So all this talk you want to do now is not working. So if it's only my mom, it's inside the house. No, we grew up with this ideology the ideology is a man will always be a man. He will do everything
actually,
that he's supposed. A man is the one that is supposed to take you, bring you out. That's what she calls it, bring you out. Women are supposed to be inside, and then men help them explore. But that's not what life is about. Everybody can explore and become bigger even without. But from where we come from, it has to be
where everybody comes from right now. Okay, so people say no, right? And they start explaining. I think, let me even use myself as an example. Yesterday, my mom called me for something and I bluntly just said no. I just told her, Mom, you don't need to finish up. No, is the answer. But then I think I ate up myself all through the night till this morning. So, Dr. Kayode, why do you think people say no and then start feeling guilty to the extent of probably trying to explain themselves? And sometimes it goes for weeks after saying the no.
Right, thank you, Dr. Nancy. So first of all, I think people try to justify the fact that maybe this title, A Fool at 40, it's not like a proper title. But people have gotten used to it now, and I'm happy they've gotten used to the title. But you know, I still say yes when I'm supposed to say no, especially to my wife, right? So you want her to just let you be, right? Although she understands when I say yes, when it is yes, and when I'm saying no, when it is no. So when I say yes, quickly say, she has not finished explaining, especially if I don't ask any question. That's okay. She knows, is this okay, or is there something else? But coming back to your question, right? When Fed mentioned that you could not look at people in the eyes, you know, he struck a chord in me. It took me, I'm not even sure if I've overcome that. It took me more than between 5 to 7 years of being intentional. Because I read in all the books that if somebody is having a conversation with you and you cannot look straight into the person's eyes, it's either you are lying or you have low self-esteem, or if the question of being disrespectful was out of it. I read it in the first book, I read it in the second book. I keep asking myself, so what is wrong in looking at people eyeball to eyeball?
Right.
Like, what is exactly wrong with me looking? Somebody will be talking to, and up till date, I still do it. Sometimes when the people I serve, let's say, for example, one of the people I serve, and she's talking to me, I find it very difficult to look at her like this. But I have to always write down before talking to any of these foreigners or talking to anybody I know is in the business world, that look at them eyeball to eyeball. Look at them eyeball. I self-talk myself into looking at them. Whether they think I'm confident or not, I really don't know. But it's something I had to educate and it took me years. We are social beings, and our first need is the need to be accepted. That's the unfortunate part. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want to be liked. Right. On our social media page, if we put up a post, We are conscious of the number of likes that we get. So in it, we want not to be seen as somebody who causes strife. We avoid trouble. There's a mechanism in us that fights, but more importantly, fly when things are difficult. So we should just know that, especially for us in Africa, the white men are better. White men, their children, they were raised with confidence.
True.
You cannot beat your child. Here, if he's beating, it's very easy. Like, it's the least of your worry. They will call 911 there.
That is another thing. Call 911 on your parents.
You are, even the society will lock you up. You cannot even think of the thought of it. Massive is because of movies that we watch. You cannot think of it that you can talk back at your parents. I had to keep telling my dad then. I said, I'm married. I have children. He said, no, regardless of how old I get or that I'm still. I said, I am married. You cannot force me to eat. I'm not eating is a complete sentence. Like, it's a full sentence. I don't need to explain. I'm not eating. We went back home. I went back home yesterday and got home, and still the same thing wanted to happen. I just said, we have eaten. They mentioned the second one. I said, we have eaten. Full stop. Then, although my mom comes from this emotional blackmail, so you don't want to eat now, my son. I said, we are eating is a complete sentence. So we need to, first of all, be aware that that problem exists. Once we are aware, then it's now up to us to now confront that, hey, that I respect this person does not mean I should not own up to the person that I am.
Okay, so let's come back to you, Mr. Emmanuel, right? He said something like, I have not eaten is a complete sentence, right? In his book, he said, here is what I learned. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your refusal. A simple, firm no is perfectly acceptable. So now let's bring it back to reality, right? Imagine that your girlfriend, right, brings up a topic or something and she's talking to you, and you have thought about what she wants or what she's saying, and you just want to say no. What do you think will happen after you just say no, probably without explaining or considering anything?
Okay, so I think you saying no is a complete sentence can also, in some few aspects, can be relational. What do I mean? Or can be relative, rather. What do I mean by being relative? So there's some persons I owe responsibility to. Okay, so you said my girlfriend or my fiancée, she's going to be an integral part of my life. And then I think I'm not lord over her. She's not a slave. Permit me to just go a bit into the scriptures. So when God was going to form the woman, what did he do? He picked the rib, right? The man's rib, right? Your side. He didn't pick the bone from my leg, so I'm not to trample on my foot. He didn't pick the bone from my head, so she's not my master. He picked it from my side, so we're to walk side by side with each other. So because I know that I owe her some responsibility towards her, then if I say no, I believe I should be able to also explain to her in such a way that she will need to understand.
What if it's a situation that you don't need to explain, or you don't even have an explanation to?
Okay, so there are times that you need to be fair and just say your no, and later on do the explanation. I can't recall the scripture. I was so surprised when I saw it that this is in the Bible. I know it's in the Old Testament, where I can just paraphrase what the idea that particular verse was trying to talk about. How that even to your wife, he was talking about saying things out. Even to your wife, there is timing to when you should give out some information. So, of course, you cannot just say no and keep quiet, and then some things are going bad. So, there would definitely require, some time will definitely come that will require you to explain the reason for your action or the reason for your decision. Yes, that's why it's a relationship. It's a mutual.
So let's remove the relationship.
So if
Imagine
I
if
owe you
it
no,
was
so-
was a workspace
so a workspace.
and you say no to somebody. Do
somebody
you
who is not
think-
my boss, who don't
It
have.
does not matter whether boss or no
So-
boss. Just say no.
so randomly.
Just say no. If the answer is no, like you just say, like there's a request and you know the answer is supposed to be no, but because of course now.
So that's a different ballgame entirely. If it's in a workspace and I know I'm not under that person,
I don't want you to even think about being under
Under or
or
top.
not on
So-
top or whatever. I just want you to say, okay, so the scenario is here, and the person is asking for something, and you just want to say no,
so
and
you know,
you don't even want to
the
explain.
concept of equality and equity has to come into place. You see, all five fingers are not equal. Do you understand? So where will equity come in? For the fact that some persons are this level, and then you have to give them leverage. So you can't treat everybody generally the same. So if it's some random persons at my workplace, I say no. No is a complete statement. But if you tell your boss no, without proper explanation as to why you're doing this, come on, this is Nigeria. Especially in the civil service.
So you're saying now that saying no. So Teresa, let's use this bar. So now with what Mr. Fed has explained, it's indirectly saying that when people say no, it could be related to who the no is going to. So maybe that's saying your workspace, you cannot say no to your boss. Do you actually agree that no is not a complete sentence for someone who is your superior?
In some scenarios, you can actually say no. It depends on what the situation is. If the situation requires further explanation, you'll be asked, okay, you're saying no. Why? But then, if he tells me, I can steal that thing, I will actually say no, and I won't give him the reason why I won't do it. So if it is something concerning an administrative work or a tax given, and you say no, you are obliged to give reasons why you said no. It's justified, but if it is something out of what you feel will not bring or yield any profit, you cannot really say no. Saying no is a choice, and saying yes is a choice. It's your choice. You're not compelled to it. You have to own it. I'm saying no, I'm saying no. If I say yes and I mean no, it's still on me. If I say yes and I mean no, I'm still going to live with it. So it comes from inside.
Okay. So the part of this book says, prioritize ruthlessly. Identify what's truly important to you, your health, your family, your career, and fiercely guard your time and resources to optimize those areas. Offer alternatives. Sometimes a no can be softened with a helpful suggestion.
Yeah.
Can't lend some more money, perhaps you can connect them with a loan officer.
Very important.
Kayode. So this particular sentence, right? Can't lend someone money. Perhaps you can connect them with a loan officer. What were you thinking when you actually gave that suggestion or that example?
Okay, so let me pick up slightly before answering that question from where Fed stopped, right? I understand the need to want to explain. But the higher you go, explanation is also a waste of time. So we're in Africa, of course, for our relationships, we owe them explanations, and I agree absolutely with that. But what we are discussing is saying yes when the answer is no. So it's black and white. Right. Somebody who asks you to do something that is close to you, the person should know that your answer to this thing is no. But just in case they don't know and they ask you, no, please. Pastor, is a very sign of healthy self-esteem. A healthy self-esteem. Sometimes you want peace, right? And you know, I can give scenarios where up till date I still say, okay, when I know that I'm not going to do it at all. And perhaps there are just one or two persons I do that to. As I mentioned initially, you don't want trouble. You don't want trouble. But the reason why I said no could be a complete sentence. You can offer explanations, but to you, don't let somebody get you to the point of changing that position just because, and is in the process of trying to offer explanation that people get snared into things that they should not do. At this point, if you keep wasting your time with explanations or you are not, because the challenge is that what stresses me more, I can even fall sick, is the point of indecision. I don't know whether to go forward or go backward, say yes or no. Because at this point, we made a decision and it cost us just a decision on where to import a product, where to get in a product, either Lagos or Abuja. That decision, that missed decision cost us over 10 million. Right. So as a leader, you want to be sure of all your decisions and you want to be very precise. It's in the moment of discussion that Adam ate the apple. If you know your value says no, make it no. Any relationship that leaves you because you are very true to your core values is not supposed to be in that relationship. So for me, I still hold the fact that it's a complete sentence. For people who wants to borrow money, rule number one, don't ever, I've done it severally, I've gotten burnt over and over again, don't ever borrow money that you cannot lose. In fact, as you're borrowing the person, in your mind says, this money is gone. If it comes back, thank God. If you know that, and Kostrari is a big example, gave somebody a loan of in billions, sold almost all his shares in Fidelity Bank to clear his name. Once you know you cannot lose this money, don't borrow it.
Okay, so the major thoughts, it's actually around offering the alternatives, right?
Offering alternatives, you are trying to be nice, right? When it is a major decision, lose the sense of being nice. So again, I'm a nice person. I could be nice, and it's okay to quote it in the quote of, you have a bitter pill, you quote it in something sweet. It's very nice. It's okay. But as you go up, the need to want to explain, even if you explain, is to help the other person, not that you have that need to want to explain. Okay, so please go ahead. Sorry, I cut short.
No, it's fine. All right, so offering alternatives. Well, I think you've already explained what I wanted to talk about, right? But then a part of the book says, learning to say no was a game changer.
Yeah.
It's empowered me to regain control of my life. Now my yes carries weight because it's reserved for things that truly align with my values and goals. Yeah. Remember, the ability to say no isn't a weakness. It's a superpower.
Use it wisely.
Use it wisely.
I agree.
I think that is actually a very good way to say that people should learn how to say no, actually. The other part of the book says, but what about the guilt? Right? We have just 4 minutes to end this session. But I would ask Mr. Fed and Teresa, just 2 minutes each, right? What have you said a no that hurt so badly?
Yes, I have.
How did you take yourself out from feeling guilty for saying no?
I just took my mind away from it.
You took your mind away from it. How?
Yeah, I just stopped thinking about it. I didn't ponder about it again. I just left it at that. I didn't go back to. Yeah, I can do that a lot.
You have superpower, so
I built myself like that.
It's actually a superpower.
No, you close your mind to it. Trust me. Yeah.
Like you say no, and you just sleep.
Yeah,
well.
you don't. No, you don't.
You'll be seen
There's
as
some kind
wicked,
of
though.
no that you can't. Yes, it's okay, sir. I'm
Yes,
not a nice
that's it.
person. It's
That's
okay.
it. You have to accept that.
Yeah.
That being wicked
Yeah.
is it does
It's
like,
normal.
It's normal.
It's unfair. Have you said no that hurt you badly?
So
Actually,
you see, that happened this year. Actually, after making that decision, I felt I should have even said this thing many years ago. I was in a situation for close to 6-7 years, and then I finally said no this year. And how did I get to that point? It took me maybe close to a month. I was thinking about it. I remember the very week before the week it was over there that I've said no. I'll be in the bedroom. There are times I was just thinking, God help. But I got to a point. I just told myself, this person is not feeding you. I don't need this person to live my life. If I'm not in this person, if this person is not in my life, doesn't mean, I won't make progress. I mean, what do I owe you? What does he owe me? Nothing. I just made up my mind, and then that day came and passed. And I moved on. But I had to take out time to prepare my heart. I really prepared my heart because this is a journey that has lasted for close to 7 years. And I was going to say, I'm not going to continue this journey again. And then it's going to be like, it didn't really sound too fair. And the funny part, I would not have the privilege to explain myself because there are other relationships attached to this particular journey I'm talking about. I would not have the opportunity. In fact, that was my first concern. How would this other person see me now? Because I would not be there to explain. Well, I just told myself, if God wants to lift me up, He doesn't necessarily have to use this people. God is not bounded by people.
Yeah.
I mean, He can use anyone. So I don't have to necessarily be in this circle, to succeed in life. So I just made up my mind and I said the no, and then the guilt.
Let me, there's a part within read that the fear of being seen as wicked, selfish,
Yes,
unhelpful often hold us back from saying no. I was in a church and somebody was like, she was an adult, she was feeling depressed. She said it, that she was always feeling depressed. She was always feeling she doesn't have, she worked so hard. She kept sending money home, until one time like that, something told her not to just say no. And she said she got a message from one of them that I can't remember, but she said it in such a way that the person said, even if you are not going to help, we stand up from another place, in a way that got to her. And she realized that even though if she dies, they will not tell her thank you. See, we are the one playing the movie longer than necessary. In our heart, what will this person think? See, once you eventually succeed with your goal, they will all come around. Prioritize yourself and your progress. It's when you're strong that you can pick up people. So if your values require and your goal, and I like to put that two words together, your values and your goal. Sometimes it will be your goal. This thing and goals, once you focus on a goal, every other thing becomes distraction. If your goal requires you to constantly say no, even to good things, because good things are the enemies of great things. Just say no. Don't feel the need, and I keep saying it. Don't feel the need to explain. And allow me, even to your relationships.
Facts.
But don't say it to your wife.
All right. I think we are going to end it with don't say no to your wife, So let's just end today's podcast with you can say no to people, even when you're in a relationship with them, but once it's your wife, please don't say no. Let's end
Yes,
it with that. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and we are going to the next session. See you all next week, and of course, we are going to have a different session for next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's how you can say no. You can't say no to your wife. They will
some are there, and then a few we did pour there. But then I said I was going to also bring. This was all part of my plan. I said I over prepared for this meeting. This was the Sam Walton I bought 300. This was the Sam Walton book. So you see, Biro, right? I put this book in my back pocket like something was wrong with me. This book, 300. Luckily for me, somebody was coming from the US, Dr. Nduaka, and said that he wants to get me a gift. That what can he get for me? And I didn't really answer. 2 days after, I said, "What's wrong with me?" I said, "You should help me look for this made in America, somewhat. This one, I will now go and archive it, put it inside glass." Put it inside glass and archive it. See red biro. That's how I used to. This red biro, sometimes when I get to that point and I want to revise, I will just read that line. I can read that line and sleep. Reading and sleeping is a good habit, though. Because what you want is that letter to become you. There was a part, the way he opened the story. Yeah. He said, "Finally, I hope there's a special place in heaven reserved for my 2 secretaries, Loretta Boss, who was with me for 25 years, and Becky Elliott, who has been with me now for 3 years. They deserve it after what they have put up with me here on earth." So, if you're working with people like this, and I wish, who was, Uncle Jerry, can you be on the internet? Sam Walton is late. We read through Forbes list of billionaires the last time, and there was quite a handful. His children, his grandchildren, all are on Forbes list. His first two, by the time Sam died, Sam was the richest man in America. Then, if we were alive, Elon Musk would not be close to him. Like, if we were alive, Elon Musk, with all his technology, will not be close to Sam Walton. Please, Forbes list of billionaires. I think the first one of the sons, also old now, was he what? 90-something billion. 90-something billion. The whole stake of Walmart, is probably, if you put together all the families, is probably what in excess of 400 billion. Not the worth of Walmart, their own stake, other than other people's money, is in excess of 400. The son, there are two sons that were close to each other. What are they worth? One 90-something, the other one 90-something. So if you put together those two alone, it's almost 200 million. Elon Musk is, permit me to talk with pride, it's just 200 and something. If you put, one of Walmart's son died 2005, and the wife is also, I think, number 100 or so, worth almost $20 billion. The children, all of them. See, blessed man. I've told them, I had this picture then. They will have to put his picture again for this. In fact, nobody even knew he was wealthy until one lousy person published it on newspaper that all of a sudden, the person who drives pickup, he drives a pickup, normal pickup, you will not even know that he's that wealthy. That he's the richest man in Africa. That's how he started the story. If I have, they said the book is even scarce in the US. This is the most valuable 300 naira I've ever spent in my life. This is the most valuable. It's just that after school, I stopped photocopying. I used to photocopy book because I could not buy it. How many of us have photocopied textbook? Like, I would go and failing forward that Parmalat will start reviewing. It was photocopy. My memory of failing forward is not original copy. If I remember any thought from failing forward, it's from a photocopy. I photocopied it and I bind it. And I was marking it like this. One brilliant book also. So they've gotten me another copy line, giving back. So you see, it's just that I cannot give you this book. If not, I would have given you. But I cannot borrow somebody this book, no matter how well I like you, right? I cannot borrow you. It represents a bit, just like my tape. Although my tapes now, they are outdated. If I borrow you, maybe if somebody can convert it for me, I'll be happy to do that. And once I'm done with that, then I can now democratize all those foundational lessons. Thank you so much. So, clap for my archive box. All right, so let's go into, I just said, let me say that in passing, that we've come a long way. These things are not 10, 15 years. Those tapes are more than 20 years. Those tapes that you find there, they are more than 20 years. And if I've kept them to this point, it shows you how well I attach seriousness to learning. And I was going back to a few our previous talk, and I learned also and I was very happy. I spent the entire time driving and I was listening to myself, and I learned from myself. It just occurred, in fact, one time that I said something, maybe you probably wouldn't pay attention, and I started praying that God, please let this happen. I didn't know I've made mouth that I will go back to Kogi and go and ensure that something. I said so, right? I didn't remember when I said that. I started praying. I did this thing. It has to happen, and so it will do us well. I say some things. I have to mix most of what I say sometimes with joke, not because I don't think that they are serious talk. They are. And you will not get everything I say in one sitting. Even this mastery, you cannot get it in one sitting. My biggest challenge in running this series is to figure out how to break these things down. So are we set? Are we set? Let's enter into today's topic. So mastery unleashed. Mastery unleashed. I'm not going to start with popular definitions. I will start with a story. I will start with 2 or 3 stories. Right. There are important things that and you will need to pay attention to the story, but don't take me too seriously. And I have to warn you, because I took this thought seriously, and my wife, I said jokingly, she used to listen, so she used to accuse me. So, but again, how well do I tell you things? They are not planned, but she's about one of the perfect examples. She has packed her load 2 times to leave me. The first, the first one was because of what I'm about to say. So that's why I want you to. It's the truth. I'm convinced it's the truth, but you cannot take it too seriously. I had to even stop learning that thing because of how strong it is. But if I don't say it, you will not take the mastery thing. You have been planned to be like this. Your genius has been stolen away intentionally. Because you must understand the problem to be able to build on it. I understood it. I got afraid. It wanted to affect almost all my relationship, and I reverted. And I said, now that because sometimes you cannot solve something quickly that it took years to be. Regardless of your passion for this country, you cannot wake up one day because of passion and want to change this country. There are systems in politics. There are systems that has been enshrined for more than 200 years that will perpetually almost keep Africa the way it is. Your will, irrespective. Hey, you are not you again. You have become a design that was intentional. Because there's a reason why people will not come for a mastery class. Fundamentally, they don't believe they can be masters. They just want to get by. I pray. In my secret prayer, I told God, just give me 2 persons that will believe this series. If we have, this is not the end of Kayode, right? In 10 years, it will be a different story, but I'll tell you people later. I've stepped on something that will keep propelling me forward. Right. If we have people in another 10 years that leave this topic and become Serena Williams, become Elon Musk, we are okay. We will employ the other ones. we will ensure that you put every other one on the track. Because I know this thing, once you march on it and you are convinced and you step on that pedal, you will not come back again. It's an idea that when your mind is stretched to accept, you cannot recover from. Who has watched Inception? I keep telling Dr. Nancy to go and watch Inception. Who has watched Inception? Inception, a movie, Jerry. Well, maybe I will intentionally look for this Inception. The reason why it's scarce is because the idea in that book, Inception, is the Leonardo, the person who acted the True Love, One True Love, this Titanic. It's Titanic, the person who acted Titanic. That movie has to be scarce. Because if you understand the idea in that movie, the wife of Leonardo DiCaprio, how do you pronounce his name? Got an idea. Once your mind stretched to a new idea, it's difficult to stretch it back. It's difficult to stretch it back. So there's a disclaimer on this story I'm about to share. Don't take it too seriously. See, I met someone who taught me something, and I had to intentionally block the person off my life. Because, there's some light you will see that your eye will be too dim to receive. If you don't intentionally dim it, and your mind stretches to that idea, you will just be a mad person all through. I had to tell myself, because it was already affecting. My wife said she wants to leave. I told my children that none of them will go to school. So let me get to it. So in the 17th century, right? Just a little history. There are 3 things the person taught me that you have to learn: history, astronomy, right? And biology. There's currently an attack on biology now, but let's leave that alone for another. These 3 things, anybody who understands transformation, we know that I know something. An average person, these 3 things I've mentioned, an average person will see it and think it's a person. Somebody who understands how things are transformed, we know I've stumbled on something. History, astronomy, biology. Then if you want advancement, physics. Technology advancement, physics, right? So history, I'm just going to give us a brief about history. Then I started teaching my children how to name stars myself, the stars. Because somebody needs to tell you that God is not in the sky. If you leave this earth, you are going to another planet. The African experience is that once you leave this earth, once you pass that cloud, it's God you are going to see. It's not God. Trust me, it's not God. I know some of you don't believe. You will jump into another planet. There's simply a way you will even get out of the Earth's circle. And then you cannot, gravity, you lose gravity. It just tells you that you are in another place. There are other planets, and we are just a tiny part of it. Once you understand the universe, you're able to understand your environment, because we don't understand our environment. But that's not what I'm going to. Just a brief of history. In the 1700s, right, there was a war, and just brief. I'm not going to make it too technical. We all know that people were fighting each other now. There are wars now, but just that the wars now are sophisticated. They used to fight with bow and arrow. So, but then they called them Prussian Empire. They were very advanced. So they entered war with Poland. They entered war with Poland, and they succeeded. Prussian Empire now is largely Germany. So when they conquered Poland, true story, right? History. They've taken out history from us, so we don't even know our fathers again. And that's a very sad story. As I said, listen, but don't take it too seriously. And I don't want to drive you. I just want to say all these things to say one thing, so that maybe you can pick up your mastery journey, right? From there. So they went into Poland. They took Poland into captive. They took the territory. They now had an issue. What was the issue? The adults, despite that they've taken over the territory, The adults in Poland then did not want to submit to the Prussian government. They had the little problem, so there was always chaos. They won the war, but their armies were still around because they were afraid that rebellion could start. So somebody, a German who understood humans, gave the Prussian government an advice. And he read something, I wrote it down, a full page, and I wrote it down. He said they should give up on the adults. It's difficult to break them. But they should get the armies to guide them. That this battle, before they can rest, they will need to do something. They will need to pick, the adults were hard, the children could be molded. So that was about, there was a form of education, but the education they had then were good education that could empower people. That's when all these public things, schools wanted to start. So he gave them a concept to put soldiers around the adults, but create a system where you can indoctrinate the children and make them submissive intentionally. Right. So he now wrote, that's Johann Gottlieb Fichte, he's a German philosopher, right? He was the one who gave them the advice to tackle that situation. He said education should be aimed at destroying free will, so that after pupils are taught schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as the schoolmaster would have. He now said, when this technique, I'm quoting verbatim, you can go on the internet, I will share the name on our group so that you can go and go. It's not like something that is in my book. He said, when the technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for more than a generation will be able to control its subject securely without the need of armies or policemen. So, when he gave this advice, they started doing an educational system. Because they were in charge, they forced, before then it was home training, right? They forced all child within separate age to have 8 years of education. And it worked, but it was just in their territory. The world now had problem because of somebody who wanted to do good, Horace Mann. That was around 1843. Horace Mann just woke up, he was in the US. Woke up one day and he wanted to better education. So he now started traveling. Around. By the time he got to the Prussian Empire, he now noticed their educational system. He studied it and said, if something is strong enough to take out the Polish pride out of young growing people and make them submissive to a government, he didn't go, and that's why I said he's a good person, he didn't go with the intention to want to oppress people or die down their power. This thing can be boring, but I can't be joking in this time. So let's take it gradual. Right? He said, if this thing is strong enough to break a man's will and mold him into something that is submissive, it means that, because what he wanted to do, Horace Mann, and I like one of his quotes, he said, be ashamed to die if you don't make the world a better place. Horace Mann. Very nice quote. So he's somebody that was passionate about growing people. He was involved in teaching. So he now picked that same system and took it to the US. And communities started introducing the system into communities, and it was getting the communities better. Then there was now a problem, a big problem. He created the educational, together with Frederick, created one educational board. We now had people who had money. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. I have read about them. I love them. They were chariots. They made billions. Rockefeller made billions from oil, Standard Oil. Billions. If you go and watch the man who built America, it's a very popular YouTube video. The man who built America. He was, and not like he had money initially. He just like, but when you have the gene, he was ruthless. Made billions. He and Carnegie fought at one point in time. Carnegie made his money from steel. When they now wanted to die, they had built empires. They had built empires. And they had money. They had one issue. They had issue of people, because humans had free will. Hi, Shakata. This thing we said is a major topic, but we think it's not major. Human had free will. You could pay attention to yourself and do what it is that your mind is telling you to do. So they had built factories, but they were finding it difficult to get workers. Right? So because they wanted more, they were pilots, they wanted more, they wanted more production, they started building industrialization. They started thinking, they engaged somebody, some people, how do we solve the issue of workers? Because workers cannot be coming. I said, work, I'm tired today, I'm not going to work. And that alone can shut out an entire line. That alone can shut out an entire line. So Carnegie had, Rockefeller had, and I wrote his quote. He said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. He gave somebody money to go and find a solution. Whoa! Then they now came and understood that the educational system can fundamentally change people. They pumped in $3.5 billion. That was the birth of the real educational system. It was designed to produce people who think, who work, not people who think. Unfortunately for us, we copied the system, but I don't want to explain this because I will mention local names that are not appropriate, right? But just believe me, right? For us, they took out thought. We are not designed to think. You don't need to believe me. You now, if you can think, you will be more than this. I can bet my money on it. If you can think, you'll be more than this. So the school system was set up to meet the need of industrialization. That's why they give all of us, if you and Eben are in the same class, you will sit down for the same exam. Abi, is it not the same exam? Do they give people independent? You wear secondary school, wear uniform. And people were trained that if they cannot reproduce what an instruction a teacher gave, the way the teacher gave it, they have failed. So we have built people who rely on the opinion of others to live their lives. I shared, if you're on the group, I shared a picture, and maybe people didn't understand the picture, right? I shared the picture. What was the writing on that picture? They had different people. The monkey was there. Are they not animals? Now look at it. God created, are they not all animals? Are we not all humans? But we have been deceived to think that we are all the same. Are the animals? Is lion not an animal? Is an elephant not an animal? So different animals came together in one class, right? The teacher now said, read what the teacher said. He said, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree. So you find the monkey, you find elephant, you find different animals. Oh, I remember a story of a lady. She left ABU out of frustration. Her CGPA was 0.3. She has PhD now. I don't have a bloody master's. She left. I don't want to just mention them because, this is now public, right? She left ABU quickly, 0.43 or something. I knew the CGPA because one time she came to complain to me and I didn't know how to say. She just, when she withdrew, somehow, fortunately for her, her parents were well to do, took her outside. The next time I started seeing her, coding seminar, hey, Shoko, 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 Shoko. What they do for us over time is set the same example for all of us. So if the elephant cannot climb the tree fast, they put F. First year. Elephant cannot climb the same tree, second time, F. The elephant now get to accept that since the judgment, the societal judgment, is to climb a tree, that's the definition of success, then I'm a what? I'm a failure. All of us here are products of a well-designed educational system designed to make you forget your genius and to pay attention to what the society think is accepted. It was when I read this history for almost 6 months. One day I just woke up. I said, my children, I'm going to school. I was very serious. I was very serious. I said, none of them will go to school. Because I know I have finished jacking history. I have went down to when it started. I have seen how it came to Nigeria. I have seen what it was designed to do. So what am I supposed to do? To keep paying to be dull. I was serious, so. So my parents, I settled this matter. So again, I now said, okay, so what do I want? If I might leave now, I'll start looking for another one. I said, no. I looked at it. I will not tell you what's on my mind. I know I'm going to still have the regret, so I'll have to do something crazy. I have to do something crazy. You know, this year I wanted to start up a foundation. And I've told them in Pharma that in one of my sessions, I will have a school, no exams, no school uniform. You just come and play. What I would teach them is just problem solving and leadership. If you understand this, right? I made a comment one time, and I'm not sure if we understood it. I said, we've been conditioned. What you are fighting is conditioning. The moment you are free, even if you, and I'll tell you how to be free, because that's the purpose of this mastery. So it will not be conventional, but you have to act on it. And you have to be able to withstand moments of madness. where everybody will think something is wrong with you. Because you will not act normal anymore. Shiki. See, before I became a member of the Veterinary Council Board, I wanted to solve a few issues in the veterinary community. And then I saw an election, people who organize and design policy. So when I saw it, I now called Dr. Fadipe then. I said, can young people apply for this? Because the moment you start questioning status quo, that's when your madness has started. You cannot question status quo. See, thank God for the small, brief conversation we had. When you say no, yes, instead of saying no, it's just difficult to question status quo. You can get so mad. Is it not your right to enter inside Aso Rock and go and ask the president? Eh? What are you doing? It's your constitutional right. Go and enter the gate. That's it. Go and enter. And quote section something of the constitution, tell the security man, it's my constitutional right to ask. Do you know why you are laughing? You've been oppressed long enough to think a guy died, and now I'm almost in tears, right? A guy in vet school. What was his offense? He annoyed, and the man he annoyed is also late, right? Annoyed, got late to a class and annoyed the lecturer. And the lecturer tagged him. First year, he failed. He repeated. Second year, third year, fourth year. There was blackout in ABU, then we all wore black, because we knew he was depressed. Shiki, why can't you look at the lecturer? And walk out of that education system. And walk out. I walked out on my own. I'm still alive. Now, this thing, people will hate me for it. Your lecturers will hate me for it. There's a software in your head you cannot imagine. You will think it's a cause. Prayer in church will not save you. Now you want to misunderstand me. Prayer cannot take out that software. Prayers cannot take out that software. It was planted. It started from our forefathers. We were giving back to it. There's a level of craziness that require you to build like no other person is building. The guy woke up one morning and drank something he's supposed to do and died. Because somebody just said you are not going to graduate. You do the first time, you didn't feel. You do the second time, you didn't feel. Intentionally. And then you killed yourself. Because there's a ceiling on everyone that says if you don't conform, there's a punishment system that makes you conform at all costs. Whatever it is that doesn't allow your free will to be at the front part of what it is that you do. Get it out. Whether it is your parent, and sometimes it could be even our parents, or could be. You have to get it out. So how do you, within but Simba, I want us to pay attention. So Simba ran up until he was tired, right? And got to a place, I think he lied down or so. Then some folks found Simba. What's their name? Timon. Timon, yes. Timon, there's what's the word Lion King? There's one warthog like that. What's his name? Pumbaa, yes, exactly. So when we realized that Simba is a baby lion, then Simba now said he was hungry. They quickly knew that if he was hungry, they are food. I want you to pay attention. Hope we know Africa is the most blessed. Some people know if we wake up to our potential, we'll eat them as food. So what did they do? Because he was baby, they were more advanced. They taught Simba how to eat maggots and vegetables. Is that not what happened? Yeah. So Simba was consciously, they knew the power, but they consciously schooled him to leave his power. Unfortunately for Simba, he caught up with the educational system. He believed. And then he now started becoming their friends. So who knows? How did Simba realize and run back? Who wants to share that story? How did he went back to his kingdom now to take back his kingdom. So what happened? Did you watch Lion King? Yes, an old friend, a lover. Love is powerful. That's why love is very powerful. Let me stop at that. So I don't do relationship talk. Very powerful. And it was the song I remembered that made me remember the entire story. What's the name of Nala or something? The name of the friend, right? Nala. You know what? They were all, when they saw each other, they now went to a stream or something. And then she said, she sang a song. Who will remember the song? Okay. Me too, I'm not sure I remember all the whole song. But one part of it that stuck to my mind, he said, he's holding back, he's hiding. The word I can decide. Why won't he be the king I know? The king I see inside. Help me write the word why. Why? So, why is a very strong word. Why? Why am I like this? Why can't I be this? I called Dr. Fadipe. I said, why can't a young person be in the veterinary council board? Why? Why can't I invent a plane? Why? Why can't I break this TV and repair it? Whoa! There's power in why. Lot of power. Because what why does is to stimulate the thing the school system has killed. Why can't I just walk out of this class? Why? Mark got to a point, he said, why am I even staying in this class? Mark Zuckerberg. Steve Jobs, of blessed memory. His parents threw him out. But they signed a paper that whoever we adopt him must ensure that he goes to school. So unfortunately, the people who adopt him did not have so much money, but because they signed that paper, they had to send him to school. One day in the class, he asked himself, my parents are spending so much money. Why do I have to stay in this class? Why don't I have money? These days I ask myself, why is Dangote not calling me? why is Dangote not calling me up till now? Why? Because what why does is to drive you to think. Why won't he be the king? If Issa was here, why are you not Davido? Shake it, boy. One day, the why deceived me. I went back to Kogi. I said I was going to be governor. Sense came back to me. I said, no, this thing will not happen. But again, your why will drive you. Because there's no mastery without drive. There's no mastery. Anybody who is a master, something wakes him up. The thing that wakes a master up is bigger than fear and loss. Way bigger. Is it not Michael Jordan? He said he has shot how many balls has he shot? But he still wakes up and shoots another one. You cannot master until you are driven. And what drives you is why. So the Simba was very fortunate. Had somebody ask him, so why won't he be the king I know, the king I see inside? Let me sing the song again. Why won't he be the king I know, the king I see inside? Please, somebody download the song and let's enjoy ourselves more. Why? See, why, when it catches up with you, it will defy all expectations. After looking for 28,000 for 6 months, I entered inside a shell company. I said, why can't I build a company that people wear suits to work inside? Somebody saw Apple fell down. See, let your buy, even if it is looking like, let it. I will teach us courage because it takes courage to be a master, right? But again, I want us to get to that point where we start thinking. So why won't you be the king I know and the king I see? You need to fall in love with somebody who sees the you inside. They were lamenting. Relax, pause it a little bit. Yes, what? How many of us have watched this Lion King? Maybe we should go and watch that part. Fantastic. Somebody came. He was already an adult, a lion, but he was still eating vegetables. Then somebody came from his past that he accepted and then showed up. And the lion, now possibly might want to eat those people, but again wanted to respect his old love. So these people now started the song. They were lamenting. When it is time for you to leave the average, there will be people who will lament. They will fight you. They will victimize you. They will even say that the way you are living your life, you will fail. I told us, my dad woke up one day, because, we had an uncle that was working in custom. For God's sake, I would have been a senior, I would be clearing vessels now. Right? But again, I didn't see myself in uniform all through my dream years that I wore uniform. Custom. One day he called, and I've said this story, he called me and said that I'm giving him bitterness of heart. Early in the morning. Somebody mentioned that somebody will wake you up early in the morning. They used to do that. Our parents used to do that. When they wake you up for, pretend that you are sick. Because what will come out of that for, you will not be able to recover from that. No. You can. So let's. So the whole people who have enjoyed the company, somebody was there to wake the person up, and they got almost sad. He said, "Our trio down the what? They've enjoyed that. Play that song. I wish you."
Romantic atmosphere, disasters in the air.
In perfect harmony with all its living things. So many things to
Tell her, but hard to make her see the truth about my past. Impossible, she'll run away from me.
She's holding
Back, she's hiding, but what I can decide. Why won't he be the king I know, the king I see inside? Yeah, you see. Oh yeah, let's. Oh yeah, pause. It's becoming romantic. Let's let's leave that alone. I need to stop this story so that I can get to what I need to get to. When Nala, the first part of that song, Simba said, if I tell her the truth about my past, she would turn and run. I wanted to tell you one truth like that, but my wife not like. What cured me was my fear. I lost my fear of being accepted by people. So I can write a book and say fool at 40. I don't care. Some people, your environment has put a chain on you. Circles, elephants, when they are young, they put a chain on their leg. And then when they want to move, they feel pain. And then they stop. That pain registered in their subconscious. So when it is time for circle, just a small thread that they can just cut. But because they feel a little pressure in that part, they remember the pain and they obey. There's a chain on your neck that will make you think you cannot cope with the pressure of being different for a year or two. Some, it could be a chain of pain, it could be a chain of shame, it could be a chain of loss, it could be a chain of what will people say. Just understand, mastery requires you to be mad, and you have to be comfortable with it. Everybody will celebrate you. You will hold the trophy, but you will have to be able to endure that brief moment of madness. It can take you 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. There was a time I became ashamed of myself. I had to tell myself, I'm in a process. I will be celebrated soon. 6 months off my phone for the pain of loss. 3 months did not see my wife. When you lose what people think, you have broken out of that jinx. Just imagine, they used to call Toby Amusun. Go and ask her story. When your parent wants to be a doctor, you are always going outside to run. Why will you subject her to the pain of learning how to draw cockroach when the power is in her legs? The picture I shared on that group, you need to look at it again. If you're an elephant, they write an exam for you that you should climb the tree. And that's why the first thing we will talk about is personal audit. Actually, the title, and I'm going to enter into the main talk for the day, the title of today's one, no, it's not personal audit. The most important skill you need to build for mastery is self-mastery. That's the first, that you understand yourself. So you can walk out of every exam that wants an elephant to climb a tree when you know that you are not a monkey. These things are not easy because even, and you know what pains people more is the pain of the people who have accepted you to be the one fighting you. That's what's difficult. But don't forget, you will need that moment of madness where everybody will be against you. But because you have studied yourself, and I will take us through that process of self-mastery. That's the first thing. We're going to take self-mastery today and next week. Once we are done, because you cannot master something. How well will an elephant train to climb a tree faster than a monkey? How well? My former friend called me one day. He said, how much food do you think a chicken will eat to grow as big as an ostrich? It's not in the food. It's not by, some people have failed an exam. Is it not if you fail? You don't need to pass that exam. I pray students are not listening to me. Again, I will have a word idea, right? So let's go into self-mastery. I want you to write a few questions that you will need to answer sincerely. Mastery begins from a big measure of self-awareness. I will give us 2 questions, I will give us options, and that's what we're going to start with next week, right? Because you will need to be able to answer those 2 questions, right? And I will not go from the aspect of where purpose, God will wake you up in the night and tell you that my son, go to Nineveh. I'm not going to take that approach, right? I told us earlier that for mastery to happen, you must have a drive. So the first thing is to know what drives you. So what condition, you need to write this down. What condition produces the best version of me? The answer to this question, I will start with, because we all, and pardon me, I have to get all of us to answer the question, and I will pick up the answers next week because I need to guide us. Right. What condition produces the best version of me? Option 1, competition. Is it competition? Option 2, is it fear of loss? Option 1, competition. Option 2, the fear of loss. Is it the fear of loss? Option 3, is it a setback? What condition produces the best version of me? Is it a setback? Is it a victory? Option 4, is it a victory? Option 5, is it having someone who believes in you? Is it having someone who believes in you? The last option is it having a point to prove? Is it having a point to prove? If you check all those, because you will need to pay attention to when you got your best results. This thing is introspection. Socrates said, know thyself. An elephant will not win a race of climbing a tree when a monkey is involved. But an elephant has its own specific strength. And your strength is those conditions that produce the best version of you. You must find what drives you. That's important. That's very important. So you have to look at critically. For me, the answer was clear. My major breakthrough points were when somebody just believed in me. My option is second to the last, having somebody to believe in. I was already used to failing. Some people, it is loss. Some loss break them down. Some, that loss, they emerge from that loss with one unholy or holy anger. Some, they want to just prove a point. I will kill you. Or maybe somebody told them that they will not succeed. We were eating lunch one day, and somebody was recounting, and somebody said she will not do well. Some will just wake up that you will not do well. I will do well. They just keep saying, I will do. The sincere answer to that will guide me to tell you what to do. Because what you need to do is to find what drives you. I will always, I told my, there's a reason why I pay whatever price to be in the position of somebody who believes in me. Because, and you know, my wife is also one of them, right? There are some, let me tell you, people who makes me work hard in Parmalat. They are the people who had better offer somewhere and stayed. I want to fall sick. I want to give up. I say these people gave up a better offer to stay with me. I have to guarantee their future. I feel responsible for everybody who works in our business. Like, not my, I will have money. I don't even need too much food. I eat once a day, right? So, and I don't have them. It's only a plane that I have to buy. Cars, I'm not too much into it, but I have to buy a private jet, right? And somebody fueled that thing. I have to buy a private jet. I have to shame the devil. What drives me, right? What technically drives me is that there are people who believe in what I'm doing, right? Who have you guessed? Madam, thank you. So that drives me to the core of my being. So you will need to figure out exactly what drives you. Because the work you will need to do to rise to the top of your field is not the normal average walk. You can't walk 1 meter and be tired. You can't walk 1 meter. Have you seen somebody who's in boat? Go and read his story. Yesterday, and Dr. Nancy were coming back from Lokoja, and we were watching people's story. That's why autobiographies are very important for me. The guy who owned Landway, Wale, we were watching his story all through most part of the journey. He said he got to a point where he has experimented a lot of ideas, and he has failed with those ideas, and he was owing people. It became an embarrassment to him. But again, the guy is freakingly very successful with real estate in Lagos. Landway is the owner of this urban center is go and check Landway. Can't remember exactly. But I know the name. Right. Something has to averagely drive you beyond the normal person. Where people are giving up, that's when you are. You know, you can be face to face with failure like this and still not give up. Has your boss ever spoken to you in a way that it was disrespectful? You took out the shame and you still came to work at the best of your ability the next day. Have you ever been walked out of an office? You were literally walked out. You went to the bedroom or toilet, wherever it is, you literally cried. You came the next morning and you still met the same boss and said, please, what can I do to help you? There's an average energy required that drives you beyond this normal thing that you do, that makes you excel beyond an average person. And that's what you will need to do. Is that okay? You need to find your drive. You need to find what it is you have to put on the wall. That's why literally most of my walls, you find people that I think I am expecting some cause. One day they will call me to thank me. Because I know what drives me is somebody who believes in me. I think Dangote believes in me. I think so. He has not told me he believes. but I have to cook up that image. I have to cook up that image. So what drives you? Can we list those things? What conditions produce the best version of you? Can we list? What's option 1? Competition. What option 2? What's option 3? What's option 4? Some people is winning. When they win a small battle. So when you understand that that's what drives you, you have to look for smaller battles to win. Me, my own winning doesn't drive me. Winning gets me more afraid. Most of our major victories, right? At the point it's happening, I'm very sad. So just imagine that winning is what's driving me. But some people, just, you came to work, you did this, the work is not brilliant, but, or maybe it's even brilliant, and somebody commend you, and you got recognition. Some people put, so again, I have a couple of awards. There's one reason why you will not see award behind my wall. Are there people who take those awards as what drives them? They put it behind. In their offices, you get to some offices, you see award. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to find what gives you your A game. You just have to find what gives you your A game. Your A game. So if it is award, ensure you get a certificate that recognizes your win and put it on your wall. Some people is a setback. After a setback, some people, when they pick up, they remember that setback. There's one Nicolas Cage. Is it Nicolas? No, not Nicolas. I can't remember. Lisa, I will look out for that video and I will share on our group. What drove her to that point? She got to that point where she could not provide food for her son. And then she remembered that story. I will share that story. I will share it on our group. And she was talking in a talk show and she was crying again. She said she looked at the son and said, oh, that this is going to be the last time mommy will ever be down. And when she remembers that idea, that concept that I promised my son that this setback is the last, she gets driven. When I remember my setback, I laugh about it now. It was too much pain. If I don't laugh about it, I will not be able to survive. So I have setbacks, but my approach to my setback is to make it unserious. Some people, it drives them. For some people, having somebody to be, so for some people, and it's okay, it's a point to prove. Some bet, have you watched Three Idiots? They bet that they will be successful. Some of you, maybe if that's what drives you, bet people in this place. After today, bet, say in another 5 years, this is where I'm going to be, this is where I'm going to be, this is what I want to do. The second question you need to answer, and that's where we're going to end. Who do you speak to most when you are losing? You have to pay attention to this question. Those two questions, that's where we're going to pick up. And you have to go and answer it. Nobody will answer it for you. I cannot build your mastery for you. We said it earlier that for money, you can have money, even if you are not, a fool can have money. A fool can have money. For mastery, it will change you as a person. Change you. So the second question, who do you speak the most? Who do you speak to when you are losing? And mark the word when you are losing. Who do you speak to when you are losing? Option number one, is it somebody ahead of you? Is it somebody ahead of you? Option two, is it somebody at your level? Is it somebody at your level? Option three, is it somebody who is not yet at your level? Option four, you don't speak to anybody at all. The answer to those questions are very instructive. Very instructive. So, what's the second question you need to answer? Who do you speak to when you are what? When you are losing. Because it's those moments when you are losing that define whether you will break out of being a normal person. People lose. To lose is normal. It's how you handle that moment of loss. That's what ensures whether you go up or you stay at the level that you are. So who do you speak to when you're losing? What's the first option? Is it somebody ahead of you? What's the second option? Is it somebody still at your level? What's the third point? Who is not yet at your level? What's the fourth point? Where you don't talk at all. Some people bury loss. They don't speak about it. Those people will soon commit suicide. Those are the people who commit suicide. Such people. You are in pain. You cannot talk. You cannot talk. You cannot open up to somebody. Some people process it very well. Like sometimes, some level of my pain, I could process it very well. But some, you are losing. And if you're losing, it means that your skill has not grown to that level. That's why you lost. Abi? If you lose a game, I've flogged Uncle Jerry in table tennis. There are few people I've flogged there very well for table tennis. Once you lose, it's because your skill has not grown. To be a master, you will need to know who to talk to at that point. Most people talk to people at their level. But ask yourself, because those are questions you will need to ask yourself by yourself. Nobody is going to answer. It's this self-awareness that will now make that your next loss, you will know who to talk to. There are some people, and I'm not a marriage expert, I hate it. I'm not an expert. I'm even still trying to work on my own, right? But some people have spoken to the wrong people and have broken their homes. You are taking advice from somebody who has left 7 husbands. Not that they cannot, if they've learned, well, they're able to. But as I said, I'm not a marriage expert, I don't. When you are losing, I've lost. What got me out when I was losing? I was owing 17 million. I just googled somebody and I saw that he was owing. He spoke to me, though not physically, but he spoke to me. I said, if I'm owing this much and I'm on TV and I tell my people that I'm owing that, hey, things went bad. Because what broke was communication. People owe now. How many of you have owed in this place? Hey, but you pick your call. You pick your call. You pick your call. You're owing, you've not paid, you're not picking your call. What kind of madness is that? And sometimes it's the fear of whether they will rain heaven or hell on you. Just allow them rain. I'm sorry. I will pay. They call you again, you pick. Don't be having pride that they call you 9 o'clock. They should not be calling you 9 o'clock. You are always somebody, they are calling you 9 o'clock. You are having pride that you will not pick. Pick it up! And have the courage to tell them, please, something went wrong. But I'm committed to paying you back. Who do you talk to? Some people will tell you to hide. Some people will tell you to kill yourself. Some people will tell you it happens to all of us. Some people will tell you have the courage to answer them and tell them you will pay. Who you talk to when you are losing matters a lot in whether you build mastery or not. We will start from these questions by next week. And I will not be doing boo-boo. We'll start from these fundamentals and we will drive it up. So let's pick questions. I want to pick 2 questions, madam. I really want to pick 2 questions. I know my time is 5. 2 quick questions and we will be finished. Did we learn anything today? Yeah. So you will go back home and go and digest those questions and answer them. And our answers will not be the same. And it's okay, right? That it's not the same. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. You always talk about what drives you. Okay,
Yeah.
You talk about the fact that the people who are under you drives you.
People who believe in me,
People who believe in
whether they are under, whether they are above, whether they are on the sea, wherever. When I see a sense of, I believe in this guy, it wakes me up in the night. I cannot cope with it.
What's the worst part about that?
If you go and get people who don't believe in you, you are dead. You are dead, you are gone. Anybody who don't believe in me, I don't pay attention to them. I don't pay attention to them. You tell me, because I know it doesn't do me anything, I don't even come close to them. My friends are like, my circle, there are people who talk believe. Why am I close to the person I'm currently serving? There was news everywhere that this person is not right. The person stood up for me. That's the best thing you can do for me. Go ahead.
Have you ever had a situation where someone believed in you wholeheartedly, but all of a sudden it just seems as if the person doesn't believe in you anymore?
But why did the person believe in you the first time now? There's something the person saw. So I tried to figure out, my chemistry teacher wanted me to pass. She thought I was intelligent. So I lived up to it. So if they want you to pass and you are not passing, you are not even putting the effort. I want you to pass. I want you to pass, and you keep keeping habits that ensure that the person loses interest in you. Everybody's elastic now. So you have to ask yourself, this person believes, but find out first whether it's what drives you. That's the first important question. Does that drive you? Don't bother about whether they believe in you or they don't believe in you. It is you now, not them. And if they stop believing in you, be on. All the best. All right, second question and final question.
Okay, so mine is not a question.
Okay.
But it's just like a comment. And you said I came in late. I almost didn't want to come. But I said I have to be here.
Thank you.
So you said 3 profound things that I think I'm struggling with at the moment, and it got me emotional. So the first thing was you said the questions. You said what condition produced the best version of you.
Yeah.
I want to ask. So out of this option, can we have like 2?
Yes, of course. You can have a measure of a bit of them, but just recognize the one that drives you the most. But again, a combination of it's also okay.
Okay, so for me, I always want to prove a point. I can do this thing.
And it's not wrong. If it's waking you up in the night, I've met people like that. Some people buy what they don't need just to prove a point.
Point that I can have it.
And they can go and borrow. Yoruba people have that thing. You are going to a wedding because they want my gele to be more than your own gele. They will go and dig money. See, that's what drives exceptional behavior. So you know that's what you want to prove a point. Just get a good point to prove. Not gele, not nothing. Get a good point that the three idiots have a point to prove now. So when they saw each other after years, the other guy was laughing at the other guy because he had a point to. He went to look for him because of the point he wanted to prove. Have you watched Three Idiots? Fantastic. He can guide you, but just pick your point very well so that you don't pick the wrong points.
Okay, so I started working on something recently, myself.
Yeah.
And then the second question that says, who do you speak to the most when you're down?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, most of the time, I don't speak to anybody.
That's I know.
I like to internalize things.
Mm-mm.
I deal with the pain, and
Mm-mm.
it affected me.
Yeah, it will.
I can go to work. I might not be that cheerful, but I will do my job. Come back home and continue. Wake up in the morning. I can be like that for 6 months. Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
So recently, I realized that that was not good for me.
No, that's.
And then I started speaking up because I don't know if this trait is good or not. I think I have that pride of asking for help. So it's actually very difficult for me to meet somebody and say, I need help. So I'd rather deal with it. It does not, I don't care how long it takes to deal with it and come out of it and say, okay, I did this.
You will not grow faster. And guess what? People who have coaches, masters have coaches, and that's the key things. That's in the third week. I don't want to get into coaches. Masters have coaches. There has to be somebody who understands all the terrain that you talk to. There has to be. You cannot be a master. You see, the problem with internalizing pain is that once you don't learn from it, the pain becomes useless. No lesson to learn. You're supposed to come out from pain better. You're supposed to come out from pain better. That's why just a small trigger on that thing can make you burst because the pain hasn't healed. There are pains now that if it comes out again, I will just smile. I've handled this thing before. I've handled this thing. So by next week, I'll be telling us, once you know, and I like it, your option is number 4, right? Yes. Beautiful. So all of us need to answer those questions privately by ourselves. And when you come with your answers next week, then we will now start saying, this is the reason why this is wrong. This is the reason why this is right. This is what you need to do. Then we'll now start talking about coaches.
So the third thing you said that was very profound to me, you've been saying it for a while now, but it came to my mind as you were speaking. You said we should surround ourselves with the right people.
Yeah.
And then I recently started thinking about the people I actually surround myself with. And I said something to someone that I want to start this thing. Person said, that one that you started, have you finished it? And
they are everywhere. You're not paying attention to it. That's why you have not done audit of your friends. This question will make you to go and say, the last time you failed, who did you talk to? What did they say? And then I will not show you where you failed.
So when that person mentioned that statement, I knew that I can never come to you to tell you that I want to start something because you will kill it. So, and it made me realize that, okay, I think I need to start working on my circle of friends. I don't care how I want to do it, but I need to change it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You need to audit. Let's take the final comment. The circle. All right, so thank you, everybody. I'll see you next week.
I think that's too smart. Appreciate Dr. Again.
I keep forgetting that I have a book. If you have not gotten a book at A Fool at 40, right? Maybe you should talk about that. I keep forgetting every Sunday.
Please, the book A Fool at 40 is still very much available. The price is 10,000 naira. And you can always contact me or Dr. Nancy. Thank you. Or Dr. Zainab. I just want to, on behalf of Coyote's Consulting, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for your time and patience. We appreciate you so much for finding out time to come for this section. And I know and I believe that we've all learned something very, very powerful. And I know that from today, our thinking, our mindsets, and the way we interact is going to change. And we should always remember what drives you.
Yeah.
That's the word for today. What drives you. If you don't have what drives you, please get to know what drives you, what gives you the reason to be who you are and what you want to be. Please don't forget to like, comment on our social media handles, and please do well to follow us. We'll see you next week, same time, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Self mastering. And remember to come with your answers from the questions of today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good night.
So many things to tell how to make her see. She turned me from
By tomorrow, they get sick. So there's no more. You guys don't know that many days now. We have like yes, that's not yeah. Okay, so you have base. So you have